Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Peeling Back the Label. Today I have a fantastic guest. This is her third time being on, SR Fabrico. Today we're going to talk about her book series, Southport book series. The first book is called Her Janie, Keeping Janie, and then the final book is Janie's Hope, and we're going to talk about that today and everything that's been going on with SR. So let's get her going. I'm just waiting for her to come on in. I'm very excited to talk to her about her latest book. There's been so many five-star reviews on this book, and I just can't wait to let everybody know about this book. I think it's something that everyone should read. You know, it's one of those books that will resonate with you, and you'll love hearing all about the North Carolina Southport area, because it is a real area. I think she just changed the name. Just trying to get her going. Let's see. I'm just waiting for you to tune in, Stacy. Oh, okay. Let's see here. Hold on. Oh, this happened yesterday. It said that you're unable to join. I'm pretty sure you're following my new account, the Book and Wine Lovers Marketing 1. I had to switch it because whatever, I got hacked, whatever. So just please bear with us. This is just how it goes. Yesterday, the same thing. We kept on trying. I was almost ready to say, let's go out and go back in again. And then it worked.
I think I'm in. Yay!
It's the little things. The
It
internet
is.
working. It's the little things in life that make us
It's
happy. I'm so happy to
it's
see your
so
face.
great when technology works.
Yeah, it's like the love-hate relationship, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on today, Stacy. We're going to be talking about your Southport book series. I don't have the last one. Can you show up the third and final
Yeah,
book?
I do.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I love all the covers. They all
Nice.
kind of correspond together.
So, Call Her Janie used to be it was my favorite cover. But then when I got the physical book of this one, I was like, oh man, I kind of think I like this one the best now. It's so pretty.
It is. They are all so pretty. I think the book cover makers, whoever they are, they're just really like upping their game. The covers like lately have just been gorgeous,
Yeah.
you know? So I think it makes it harder for the readers because, we all judge a book by its cover. Unfortunately, that's how we do it. But let me tell you, I don't know who wouldn't want to pick up one of your books just by the cover alone. And then when they read it, that's the bonus.
Well, thank you.
Well, it was nice having you come on again. Can you let's start from the beginning and
Sure.
tell us about oh, if you hear any noise in the background, I apologize. There's roofers. It didn't matter where I went in the house.
It's all
So
good. Life happens,
yeah, yeah.
It's okay.
Sometimes you just need a new roof.
Right?
But let's start from the beginning with the Southport series. What got you inspired about it? And, just tell us a little bit about the,
Sure,
the
yeah.
characters and
I feel like it was 20 I feel like it was 2023 when the first one came out, Call Her Janie. I feel like it was the summer of 2023. And I had previously been working, yes, Call Her Janie. I had previously been working on a different book, but I kind of, I don't know, I decided to scrap that. And at the same time, I was kind of having a little bit of I don't know, just a difficult time in life at the moment, and was really going through a lot of stress, work stress, And my brother lives in Southport. So Southport is actually a real town. It is
Oh,
called
well, I wasn't
Southport,
sure if
North
it was
Carolina.
or if you made it up. So
Yeah.
it is real. Okay.
It is real. Yes. So Southport, North Carolina. So I went to visit my brother, and my sister lives nearby. So she came down and just to kind of get away and spend some time with my siblings and just take a break from life for a minute and kind of rejuvenate and come back to come back to reality. So I went down there to visit, and one day I went. There's they have like, so Southport doesn't have a beach per se. It's kind of like where all of the waterways converge, and there is a waterfront, but it's not really a beach. And so on the waterfront they have picnic tables and pavilions, and there's like little Adirondack chairs you can sit and look at the water and whatever. So I go to the picnic table, I bring my laptop, and I tell my brother and sister, I'm like, I'm not really feeling this book, but I want to write another book. I had my debut novel was published the year prior, and I knew I wanted to write a new book. And I was like, I'm scrapping that one. I'm going to start over. I don't know what it's going to be. So they go off to work. I go off to the pavilion. I'm at the picnic table with my laptop. I'm just sitting there watching the crowd, like watching the people, taking in the town. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to write about this place. And this is going to be what my book is going to be about. And by the time I got back to their house to have dinner with them, I had invented all of the characters and like created the entire story outline of what was going to happen from beginning to end.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yes, and it was initially just one book. Like that was it. Call Her Janie. I didn't have a title at the time, of course, but I was going to, write that book. And then about halfway through that book, I realized, wow, there's a whole lot more to this story to unpack. The characters kind of take on a life of their own, and so I was like, we're gonna expand, and then we're gonna make it a trilogy, which is why you will notice when you held up your book. So you have the original. You have one of the very few
Yeah.
original covers of Call Her Janie. And then when I decided to make it a trilogy, I wanted the covers to match a little better. So I redid the cover. So this is the redone cover. And you can see that it matches, a little better
Gotcha.
with,
And
the
there's an
other ones.
award. I see you have an award on there too.
Yes, ma'am. And I did. I added an award, and I have an award on keeping Janie as well. And we have submitted some awards for Janie's Hope. They haven't come out yet, so we'll see if we win. But on the side of the spine, it says which book is which. And so
Yes.
anyway, all of that came after. So you have the original cover that not very many people have, because I changed it shortly after it got published.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, let me just ask. Oh, so keep on going. I'm going to write the question down. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So the second book came out in February of 2024. So the first book came out in July of 2023 rather. And then the second book came out in February of 2024. And then the plan was for the third and final book in the series to come out in the summer of 2024, because there was a huge explosive cliffhanger in book two. And I was totally not intending to leave my readers stranded for a year, but I ended up getting sick, very sick, as you know, and I was diagnosed with MS and was kind of going through a healing process. And so book three got delayed, but it did just come out in February of 2025. So I'm really excited. And the trilogy is now finally complete. And so far the feedback has been really good. I think it has given the ending to the readers that they were hoping for. And most of them are saying they're sad that the series is over and they're going to miss all the characters in the town of Southport. So
And do you think you'll ever do like any spin-off books from like, a separate character maybe, or you're done?
well,
Or you
I'm
don't
done
know?
for now, but I do think that some spin-off books could potentially be a thing. I don't want to give anything away, but in the third book, there is a book that gets published within the book. And
Oh.
so, yes, it's a mother's words of wisdom. And so I thought, that's not really a novel, but it's been suggested you should publish, that book with all different types of, mother's words of wisdom. So I might do that. I've considered doing,
Like an anthology, or just you writing the
no,
book?
it'd just be me, and it
Okay.
would be from a mother's perspective and mother's words of wisdom. And there are so basically in the third book, Janie is reading, or Hope is reading letters from her mom, and her mom is giving her words of wisdom. And so there's already several letters of mom's words of wisdom. And so I would just expand on that and
Gotcha.
create a book of mother's, words of wisdom. So that's one thought. I am considering, well, actually not considering, I think that I am going to my next novel. Not I'm sure if it'll be a single or a series. I don't have all the thoughts ironed out in my head yet, but my next novel, well, I've got a couple things in the works actually, but I still want to say my next because it's not actually next. I have two books in front of this one, but eventually I would like to write a story about where the setting would be Bald Head Island, which is right next door to Southport. So a similar small town, beach town type of thing.
Mhm.
I really kind of feel like that fits my vibe, and I
Yeah.
kind of want to stick there. It doesn't have to be beach towns necessarily, but I like the small town
Hmm.
book kind of vibe. So,
Yeah.
and I'm considering maybe having some overlap of characters in the book. I actually enjoy doing that. And, I don't know how many people catch on to it, but in every book that I write, there is a reference to another book that I have written. So like Tom and Laura, for example, are the characters of my debut novel. They make an appearance in book 2 of the Southport series. So they make an appearance in Keeping Janie. And then The Secrets We Conceal, which was the name of my debut novel, is the book that Lizzie is reading in Call Her Janie. So I always do like little things
Yeah.
like
You
that. So
slip it in the here and there.
yes, yes. So my next novel, 10,000 Steps, that I plan on writing, which I have not started yet. I've started an outline, but I haven't started the book because I'm in the process of working on another book. But 10,000 Steps is my next novel that I plan to write.
Yes.
And I am very strongly considering Tom and Laura from The Secrets being the characters in that book as
I
well. It won't be,
I think they should.
yeah,
Yeah, they should.
should be fun. It's not going to
Yeah.
be a sequel, it's just, but it will be the same
Mhm.
characters. And then, like I said, if I do the Bald Head Island, book trilogy, whatever, I'm considering having, some Southport characters. They may be main characters, may not be, but maybe they end up relocating to Bald Head Island, or they're there, and the, fans can remember that character from a previous book. So that's just kind of something that I started doing, and I'm like, you know what, this is cool. I'm going to keep doing it.
So, the 10,000 steps, have you started writing? You started writing
No,
it?
I have not started writing it. So I had a nonfiction book that kind of took precedent. I was so excited to start 10,000 Steps, and I was really ready to
Because I
like
think
dive
people
into it.
need to read that. Like they definitely need to read that.
Yes, for sure.
Even though you haven't
Um,
written it, I know, just because I know you,
so
I'm sure you're going to have a lot to
I've
say.
started an outline. I have a ton of notes. I have a ton of ideas. So once I get going, I feel like it's gonna pour out of me relatively quickly. But I in my real life, I have several business partners and own a couple different businesses, and I'm in the cheerleading and dance industry, as you know. And my business partners kind of challenge me. They're like, "Hey, you're this fabulous, award-winning author now, and you write fiction. You need to write a book for the sport that we all work in." And I was like, I've thought about that. It's been on my list, but I just haven't done it. And them kind of challenging me to do so was like, all right, I'll do this. So I decided to write the history of All-Star Cheer because it doesn't exist.
Ah,
It's a fairly new sport. It's only about 40
no,
years old.
so nobody has written a book, like a nonfiction book like that, huh?
No,
So
no.
you're going to have a lot of research to do.
So I've been doing it. I've done over 100 interviews. I'm
Wow.
125,000 words into this book. So it's it's nearing completion. I'm about a month away from being finished and sending it off to the editors. And once that happens, then I'll be able to start working on 10,000 Steps. I had no idea the undertaking that book was going to
Oh,
be. So it's
yeah.
kind of slowed me down a bit on some of my other projects that I want to get into, because fiction is fiction, and while I do research and I do want things that I'm talking about to be authentic, it is still fiction, and I can just make it up. If I want to put a tree there, I can put a tree
Right,
there. If I
right.
want to add
Exactly.
this character in, I can add this character in. Well, with nonfiction, like, it all needs to be right and correct and fact checked, and wow, what a process that has been. The research and all of
Unbelievable.
it.
What was
It's been crazy.
like the most so far? What was the most interesting thing either someone told you or that you learned, or like I'm sure you got some really crazy stories and
Yeah,
interesting.
I don't know that there's one thing in particular. I will say, it's really remarkable all the people that I've interviewed, how many incredibly creative and intelligent and smart people we have in our industry, and how much they really care about kids and do what they do to just create a positive activity for children. And just kind of going through interview after interview after interview, like everybody's got their own little story or their own little contribution, but each of those things has just been, I don't know, it really kind of touched my heart. Like, wow, you get into the grind, right? And you forget kind of day to day, like you're just head down busy doing what you're doing. And when you have the opportunity to stop and talk to all these incredible people, it's just remarkable, and yes, there were some funny stories and there were some facts I didn't know and some different things. And I got to meet some new people that I had never met before, which is crazy because I've been in the industry for a
Right.
really long time. And, but it's been a huge labor of love. It's been a tremendous, I don't want to call it a burden, but I just feel this immense pressure to get it right. And I also want the people that are in it to feel proud of what I've written about them. And I want other people to read it and be proud of,
Mhm.
the sport and all the people that are in it that helped it kind of be what it is. So the book is two parts. The first part is the chronological history. I don't want to call it clinical, but very like, this is what happened.
Mhm.
And there's not a whole lot of fluff and there's not a whole lot of detail. It's just, these are the facts. That's probably a third of the book. And then the other two thirds is individual chapters for the actual individual specific people with their specific story about how they started their gym or they coached their team or they started an event company or whatever their contribution was to the sport, how they influenced the sport, whatever the case may be. And so that's the part that I'm mostly, all of it really. I mean, I want to get it all right, but I want each individual person to read their chapter and just, be like, wow, this is really
Right.
cool
Like
and amazing.
you caught their essence perfectly. That's what
Yes.
they want to know. Now, are you also doing photography for that?
I am not. I have asked each person that's in it to send me pictures, and my email always says the more vintage, the better, And so
Yeah.
I am getting pictures to put in the book for each individual
Nice.
chapter, with like old school pyramids or old school uniforms or just, different memories and moments along the
Right,
way
like back in the day, how
throughout the
they
history.
dressed, and yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm there, people are supplying those to me, but I'm not doing any kind of like
Mhm.
current photo or anything like that.
Very,
So
very
yeah.
nice. So I'm sure it sounds like it's going to be a fantastic book and also inspiring. I think, maybe, other, not only the cheering, people, but other people I think could read about it too. And I'm sure they'll get very inspired by, the event person and the coaches. And, are you also interviewing any people that are actually cheerleaders?
Yeah, oh yeah. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of them were cheerleaders.
Okay.
Some um I interviewed the daughter of the mother who she herself was actually the first all-star cheerleader.
Oh,
And her mother
wow.
coached the first all-star team. And so I
Wow.
got that interview. We have, I mean, several interviews of those kinds of things and those kind of examples. And yeah, so it's a gamut of people for sure.
Amazing. It's, sounds like you're very busy.
Yes.
And you also been doing like, book signings and
Yes.
stuff like that. How's that been
It's
going with, with
it's
the
been really,
Southport series?
yeah, it's been really fun. So I have a really hard time promoting myself, honestly. I like to write books and I like to market actually for other people. I do marketing. That's kind of what I do. Build websites, all the things. I love helping other authors, but for myself, I just, it's hard for me to go out there and sell myself. So my husband has kind of come on board as my business manager. I call him that. And he has been reaching out to bookstores and different fairs and different places and kind of setting up these events
Oh,
for
what
me.
a
And
nice
so yeah.
husband.
Yeah, and then he helps me pack up the car and take all the stuff and sits with me usually. And not all the time. Sometimes our kids have things going on or whatever, and he has to go do that. But a lot of times he'll come and sit with me, and we'll hang out for the day, and it's fun. We're sitting there spending time together and signing books and talking to people, and it's great. So, and he's my best salesman and my biggest cheerleader for sure.
Yes, yes, yeah, because of course, because he's so proud of you, and he wants everybody to read your book. So
Yeah.
I definitely hear you. I know an author that was at a diner, and excuse me, the author was at the diner with her husband, and her husband heard this group of women talk about book club. So he goes out to the car and brings the books, and here, you need to read this. The author's like, he's pimping out my books. I'm like,
That would be my husband.
if you think about it, he
Yeah,
is.
that would totally be my husband, 100%.
I love that story. So you wouldn't have done that because you probably would have felt a little awkward, even though you shouldn't, but you probably would. But he's so proud of you. He doesn't care.
Not at all.
He just wants people to read your books,
Yeah.
because he knows how hard you worked on them, and he knows they've won awards. He's confident that they're great books. So let him keep on pimping.
Yes, I agree. And he's doing it, and it's great, and it's awesome. It's been fun. So we're having a good time with that.
I
It's been
love
really
that.
yeah.
What I wanted to ask you is, um, you might probably go back to your debut, but what inspired you to write? Like, I know when you went down to North Carolina, you kind of wanted to chill and regroup and all that, but obviously you wrote another book before that. Did you always want to be an author, or,
No, so I didn't want to be an author at all, actually. I have a degree in math, and I was a math teacher for a period of time. Quite honestly, I disliked English most of my life growing up, and always gravitated more towards math and science, and physics and chemistry and all of those things. And when I didn't even, I remember reading books like Judy Blume and different things like that when I was younger,
Mhm.
like grade school, early middle school. The Mouse and the Motorcycle was one of my favorite books as a little kid. But
Yeah.
then in upper middle school and high school and into college, I did not really like reading a whole lot. I read a handful of books because I had to, and that was about it. And then when I was about 25, I think I started having to travel a lot for work. And my husband, so back then, this is going to date myself, but I know I know you're there with me. There was no iPod or MP3 player. Everything was physical disc or cassette tape, actually. And so my husband worked, so we lived in North Carolina at the time, and he worked just past Raleigh, the Raleigh and Cary area in North Carolina. And in that area, there was a store called Listen Up Audiobooks. And so it was like a Blockbuster for audiobook rentals. And you could go in there, it was like wall to wall audiobooks. And so it was kind of our thing. He would go in there on his way home from work, and he would talk to the guy at the store and pick a book for me. And he would bring it home, and I would listen to the book on tape or CD while I was driving for work and doing all of my travels. And so I got addicted, to books. And so it wasn't until I was in my mid-20s that I really started even reading again. It's been a lot of years since then. And I fell back into love with reading, I guess, and I've been reading ever since. Never thought about writing a book really ever. And then it was about 2018, I guess. I just, I had a story that I wanted to tell my husband. I wanted to share with him. He was aware of the story. Unfortunately, I was a victim of childhood sexual abuse, and my husband knew about it. And my mom knew about it, but my mom died when I was 21, and no one else knew about it.
Oh.
And he was just a big part of helping me kind of heal from
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And I wanted him to know that. So I wrote a book about it for him. And what I typically tell people is I wrote a story for my husband that even at that time, I wasn't writing a book. I was just
Right.
kind of writing a story for my husband. I literally printed it out on a photocopy machine, 3-hole punched it, stuck it in a binder, and put it in a box, wrapped it up for Christmas, and Merry Christmas, here you go, I wrote you a book. And anyway, so he read it, we talked about it, it was great. And then COVID happened, and our world kind of got changed, just flipped upside down. And I decided, you know what, I have some free time, and I put all this time and effort into writing this for him. I'm gonna publish a book. Like I'm gonna turn it into a book. So the version that I wrote for him and gave to him under the Christmas tree is drastically different. I mean, drastically different than the version that was published. I think the version I gave him was like 88,000 words, and the version that published was like 66,000 words. So, it was 22,000 words less. There were chapters removed, chapters inserted. It was very different. But then I ended up publishing it without the intent of ever really becoming an author, like doing more of it. I just, thought I would publish this book and be able to have, instead of a binder, we'll have a book on the bookshelf. Like, isn't that great? And I fell in love with it. Like I fell in love with the process. Believe it or not, I fell in love with the editing process, like working with the editors and learning about writing and, you know, seeing the book evolve and all of the different things. And I just loved it. And I wanted to do more of it. And here I am all these years later, continuing to do it. And we were talking about The Secret. So I have it right here. I'll show that cover. And this I think might be my all-time favorite cover. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I think it's the best cover or because it was my first book,
Yeah, your babe.
but I
Yeah,
just love this
yeah.
cover. I think it's so pretty.
It
Um,
is. It is. So I guess, so do you think all authors are like you in terms of like you got the bug? Like, because you see authors like, they're going to write, oh, I'm working on this, I'm working on that. Is it because you just love like the research and writing and like you said, the editing, and do you just think it's kind of
I don't
like,
know.
kind of
I
like
don't
get hooked
know.
on it?
I don't know how other authors feel. For me, I kind of, in hindsight, I think what really happened was, so I coached cheerleading and dance for most of my life. Been involved in it
Hmm.
as a employee, and then coached most of my adult life. I stopped coaching cheer in 2011 and continued coaching dance until 2018. And my dance routines oftentimes are very, not oftentimes, they always had some type of theme and story to them. So whether or not the audience like got the story
Right.
was not necessarily the point. My dancers, you ask any one of them, like there was a story through the dance. So they
Right.
knew in the beginning, you're here, you're in the woods, you're hiding from, the tree, you're hiding
Mhm.
behind the trees or whatever, and you're doing this move and that, and
Right.
you're like, and so they would have all of that. And it was this story that kind of came to life and unfolded through the dance. And I think that actually I stopped coaching I stopped coaching dance in 2018. That's when I started writing. And looking back, I think for me, writing a book and telling a fictional story is no different than choreographing my dance
Yeah,
routine. And it
absolutely.
was a way, it was basically a void that I was
Yeah.
filling and trying to, with that creative outlet that I needed. And I filled it with writing books. And I don't know, I love it. For me, I love, and this was always my favorite thing about my cheer and dance routines too, is, where they started was never where they ended. And like watching the evolution throughout the season, watching the kids get
Oh,
better,
yeah.
watching the routine develop and change and grow, and just seeing the finished product at the end of the year, their last competition. That
Mhm.
was always like the most fun part for me. And it's kind of the same thing with the books. It's like you know, I love getting it out on paper and knowing that, like, okay, the first draft is finished, but then you got to do all the work to like make it even better,
Hmm.
and where the end product ends up versus where you started, and how the characters grow and develop over time or change, or sometimes I cut characters out, like Janie's Hope. There's a whole character that was in the original version that's written out of the book altogether. That's not even there, but he was there in the first draft and now he's gone. So yeah, I think for me, it just kind of replaced the void of coaching kids and cheer and dance. And I needed that creative outlet. And it's not the same thing, but it kind of
No,
is. It's the same
I,
process.
I, I can, I can definitely see where you're coming from. My daughter's been was, since 2.5 years old. She's still doing it in college. So I get it. The transformation, just like the book, the
Yeah.
transformation. So that's your high. It's the transform, going from scratch to, award winning.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
won competitions. Well, now you're winning book competitions. So there you have
Yeah.
it. All in a
Yeah.
nutshell.
Which is fun. And it's just fun. I enjoy it. And as long as I'm enjoying it, I'm going to keep doing it.
Absolutely. And we hope that you are too. Our time is up, but can you show your book one more time,
Yeah.
Stacy, so everybody could take a look at it?
Yeah. So this is the third and final book in the Southport series, Janie's Hope. And we have Keeping Janie. This is the second book. And then Call Her Janie, which is the first book. So those are all 3 books all together.
All beautiful books. We definitely suggest you read all the books in order.
Yes.
Um,
You can find them anywhere that books are sold online, even in some bookstores. My husband's been working hard to get them a lot in brick and mortar stores, but you can find them anywhere online, Amazon, of course. And I would love for any of your followers and listeners out there to follow me on social media at SR Fabrico Author.
yes,
And you can follow my journey and see what books are coming out next.
sign up,
Pioneers of All Star,
sign up for
Fall
your newsletter.
2025. Hopefully 10,000 steps sometime in 2026. And then I might take a small little break because I feel like I have just been writing and writing and writing and writing. But
Yeah,
eventually I will have a Bald Head Island book or series coming out shortly after that.
amazing.
So, yeah.
So you have a lot going on, a lot on the burners right now. We appreciate all of your writing, everything that you
Thank you
do, and you do
so much.
journals too. I mean, we didn't even get
No,
into
yeah,
that, but we don't have
we
the
didn't.
time. But go on Amazon, type in SR Fabrico, you'll see everything she's written, all the journals, everything. It's all there. And then
Yes.
pretty soon your nonfiction book with the cheerleading. So yeah,
Yes.
we have a lot to look forward to. Thank you so much for
Awesome.
coming on.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye,
Bye.
Stacy.